Good morning. Thank you for joining us for our Facebook chat live at the Stratford Festival. My name is Sean Arbuckle, and it's this camera. I'm doing so well already. And this is some of the cast of Guys and Dolls. I play Nathan Detroit in the play, and let's just introduce everybody.
Hi, everybody. I'm Blythe Wilson. I play Miss Adelaide.
Hi, I'm Alexis Gordon. I play Miss Sarah Brown.
Evan Buliung, Sky Masterson.
Awesome. So for the next half hour or so, we're going to be taking your questions live and answering them right. Everything you've wanted to know about the show, about the festival, about us, anything you'd like to write in and ask us, we will do our best to answer the questions. Our first question is from Adam. Everyone, who had the hardest time getting the New York accent down? Guys and Dolls is a show, obviously, that takes place in New York. It's a big splash musical, and anyone want to, I guess?
You two.
I know, exactly. We do.
We all worked individually with an accent coach that the festival hires, and Nancy Benjamin was our dialect coach. She was amazing. So we all worked one-on-one with Nancy, and you worked through your dialogue, and then you would work through your songs. And it was difficult. I thought it would be really easy at first, and it's very difficult. It's a real hard Brooklyn accent that Adelaide is doing. So I had a tough time at first, but once I sort of got my ear around it, and Nancy gave me some YouTube videos, I was listening to Cyndi Lauper a lot. And
You took the accent, like you pushed it and then you brought it back.
Yeah,
and you played
yeah.
it.
And we would sort of turn up the volume on our accent and then turn it down because, of course, we have all these different audience members coming in, so we wanted everyone to be able to understand what we were saying and what we were singing.
And the funny thing about anytime I find you're working on an accent, it's you have an idea of like, oh, I know what a New York accent is, and then you actually start working with a dialect coach, and you realize, oh, that's not actually the sound from this region. It's just my idea of it. So to get specific with it and to say, no, this is actually how an O is pronounced, or how hard or soft the R's are. It gets to be tricky just to be.
And you both have lived in New York, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and thinking, well, then I can do, right? But no, it's a different kind
and
of
it's like
sound.
the 1950s.
Yeah, it's exactly.
Yeah. It's a period piece we're doing, so. Evan, how did you find?
I'm not supposed to do a New York accent, but for some reason I do some sort of semblance of some Americana.
Wider American.
Yeah.
Me too.
Sky's from Colorado, so I have no idea what a Colorado accent is.
He travels a lot.
I fudge it.
I was saying earlier that we were initially maybe going to do a Brooklyn thing with Sarah, and then that just sort of got nipped in the bud. But debating where that would come in.
Yeah.
But those are the fun kind of things, because then you get ownership over your character. Just like, I'm going to choose where this person's from. And, yeah.
And it also shows such a difference between the two couplings, which is Nathan and Adelaide and Sarah and Sky. So it's really nice to show, we're real downtown city Brooklyn, and these two are they're a little more refined than we are.
Not that Brooklyn's not refined.
No.
If anyone's watching in Brooklyn. Love Brooklyn. It's great.
Oh, Alexis.
Alexis, you are a Londoner. Where did you study in London, and who were your mentors? Asks Keith.
Thank you, Keith. Yeah, I'm from London. So is, who else? Mark Ure.
Trevor? Is Trevor?
Trevor Pat as well. So I actually grew up with Trevor Pat, but this is our first show together. We did kids theater together with Original Kids. But yeah, we never ended up like doing a show together. So we almost did one, but this is our first official one together, and we've known each other for like since we were 15 or something. Who are my mentors? I did like the Amable youth singers in London as well. So like Brenda Zadorsky and everyone from there were big mentors. Everyone at Original Kids. Yeah, everyone's like, go London, I don't know. But yeah, I went to high school there and grew up there, and then I went to the University of Windsor, so I haven't been back to London actually since.
Wow, okay. Everyone, how do you prepare to do such a physically demanding show multiple times a week, asks Ellen.
The show is demanding for sure. This is a really challenging show physically for all of us and vocally. Evan is doing 2 shows right now, and we're all in rehearsal for a second show. So Evan has been rehearsing both shows, which was
Spoiler, dying in one.
pretty
and then dancing
exhausting.
in the other.
Yeah. But I find getting ready for any show 8 times a week, or right now we're doing 5 at the most, I find, pre-show prep is really important. I was training in dance for all through the winter and always vocally training with a vocal coach here. But I find before getting ready for the show, it takes me a couple of hours just to sort of get up, wake up, and do a little yoga and vocalize. And, I find walking into the festival theater, if you're not ready to go about a half hour before the show, then you've missed the train. So it's a challenging show. It's always that way at Stratford, and always that way doing the musical, which I've sort of built my career doing musicals. So I find that you have to be on top of your game to do these sort of long-running shows, and we're doing this show till the end of October, possibly an extension.
How do you pace yourself, Evan, with doing both shows? And was
Coffee.
it different? Yes, exactly. Coffee. Was it different rehearsal than in
Yeah.
now that we're in performances?
Yeah, I'm a bit burned out, to be honest. If I think about it, I'm actually really, really tired. So you're kind of like trying to keep up, or you're trying to replenish your adrenaline. Because Romeo and Juliet requires a different kind of motor than the motor for Guys and Dolls, which is a 3-hour book musical, which is really heavy and kind of requires you to be on that train. I don't know. I mean, I go to the gym or try to get enough sleep. I don't do a crazy amount of warming up before. I warm up a little bit vocally beforehand, but I've never been a huge proponent of. I like to sort of scare myself, hit the stage running, and see what's in there, and sometimes there's nothing. I go, damn, I'm so unprofessional. I don't know.
I find this show is really good as far as like passing the baton. Like our dancers are insane, and I find like Havana really challenging for me. Havana. Really challenging. We go from the big fight scene in Cuba, and I run off the stage with Evan and rip off my stockings and then sing a song. And then we run off the stage and come back on stage and do a little scene and then sing a ballad. And there's always like just all the sweat. And it's,
so
I mean,
much
in
sweat.
rehearsals, it used to be sort of like, am I gonna throw up right now? I could pass out right now. No, I'm okay? Okay, keep going. And obviously your stamina builds up over time, but like the boys doing the crap shooters ballet, like they had to get used to balancing that. And
They're all 20. I don't really.
but it's really good
They're fine. They'll bounce back.
But it's good that like I do the Havana thing, and then we pass it on to the ladies, and the ladies start Act 2, and then the ladies pass it to the guys who do crap shooters, and then like it just kind of, it's sort of brilliantly balanced in that sense, I think.
But there is a stretch of like, for me anyway, in Act 2, that it's been, the whole process has just been like, okay, get your breath back, get your heart rate down, so you can do the next thing. So for me, my preparation is a lot about just kind of like easing into the show so that it's not just stepping on the brakes or stepping on the gas and going, but it's like a nice slog. So I'll show up like a couple hours beforehand just to kind of, so by the time the show starts, we're ready. Anyway.
A lot of our company is also doing HMS Pinafore, so about 85% of our company is doing a second musical here at the Avon. And so you could really see during rehearsals the fatigue starting to set in with our dancers, and it's a lot. It's a really challenging season to be doing 2 musicals here.
Well, now they're doing like 8 shows a week, or 9 even in some cases.
We did 3 weeks of 9-show weeks, and one was a benefit performance, and it's a lot. It's a lot. So everybody has to eat really well, get a lot of sleep, and take care of themselves.
Know themselves, to know how to take care of themselves and know what they need to be able to do the schedule that we have. Yeah. Evan, is there something out there, a part in a play or a creative process off stage that you are longing to explore? Asks Keith.
Keith. Is that the same Keith? No, it's a whole different Keith. It's a whole new Keith.
Another Keith.
Thank you, Keith. A part in a play. Blythe, you look amazing on stage. Let's skip to that.
Answer the question.
Not really, no. I have some interest in directing, but I don't think anyone will let me do that. So I don't know, possibly.
Sky was a dream
do
role of
that.
yours, though, wasn't it?
Sky was a dream role of mine. But I find I've done a lot in a lot of plays, a lot of characters that God, it's a really difficult question.
I know, it's always a hard question, I find, because
People do
I find
ask
like
that.
some of my favorite roles are roles that I never thought I would
Yeah.
do.
Turn into
And it
it.
wasn't and it wasn't until for some
You're in
reason
it.
I auditioned and I got cast that I realized, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like I never thought about Nathan,
Yeah, I didn't think about Adelaide at all.
and now that I'm doing it, it's
I can't imagine
Yeah.
not having
It's
it
fantastic.
part of our life and
Yeah.
part of our history. And
but I wouldn't have picked that out as a dream role if I'd gotten that question.
yeah.
Yeah, you also pass things too, right? Like I used to really want to do Hamlet, and now I read it or I see it, and I'm at an age now where I just kind of go, ugh, just do it already, or don't. Like shut up. You know, you can get to a place in your life where you just get exhausted by some people and some characters, and you're like, I don't know, you know, and maybe that's the beauty of Shakespeare too, right? Where it's like leave it to other people to do and to manage. There's some characters certainly that you would like to explore, like Macbeth. I think could be explored at many different ages. So
Yeah.
it's you know, whatever kind of comes my way. I would like to direct, though. I think I'd have fun. I also enjoy teaching a lot. I enjoy coaching younger people in Shakespeare. I think we need. I think we need a lot more of that, and I think when I was younger, we had a lot of great teachers here at Stratford, like Bernie Hopkins, and people that are no longer with us that took time to sort of do that. So maybe I should do that, get off my ass and stuff. So that's what I'm going to do,
You
Keith.
just
there you go.
stop getting cast. It means so many great things.
Blythe,
You look
you look amazing on stage.
Thank you, Cindy.
What's your favorite costume from the show? Sorry,
How
you
many
can read your own
costumes do
down.
you have?
Well, Dana Osborne was our costume designer for this entire show. She was brilliant. She did an absolutely unbelievable job for all the women and all the men. She went to New York to buy all of her costume material, had a blast in New York City buying all of our material.
How many striped materials did she say?
wanted
For all
all-
the suits for the guys are different. She came back with like,
Hundreds.
I don't know.
How many costumes are in it? 200? 210? 210?
Is it really?
I think it's up there. It's up there. So
It's
it's
somewhere.
busy
You yourself,
backstage.
Adelaide.
Yeah.
But
What is your
Adelaide,
costume
I
lineup?
think there's about 10. I think there's 10.
I have
And then
two.
there's different renditions. You know, the costumes are unbelievable. I've never worn less on stage. This is the least amount I've ever worn in the burlesque outfits and the bushel and the peck and the mink. And but I feel empowered. I don't feel like anything's showing that makes me insecure that needs to be showing. Dana made you feel very comfortable doing the burlesque strip, and I feel empowered, and I can't wait to do some of the numbers in the show. Bushel and a Peck is brilliant. I won't give it away of what we do, but it's just wonderful what I get to do for a first entrance as a showgirl. Dana did a beautiful job.
Do you have a favorite? Yeah.
I think one of my favorites is in the Carnation scene. It's this beautiful hydrangea dress with these huge blossoms that she founds in New York, and hydrangea is one of my favorite flowers. But then I have this sweet little half mink coat that Nathan has given to me. So I really love that beautiful flowing dress. I just feel very beautiful and feminine, and but the two showgirl outfits, the burlesque, you feel like $1,000,000, which is what she wants you to feel like.
Doesn't look like.
Yeah. So
It
Dana,
looked like it.
we love what you did with us.
Yeah, pretty much. Sean and Evan, how many times did you practice rolling dice in prep for the show?
Not
Asks
enough.
Gary. Yeah, it's.
Are you going to give away the party trick of it?
Oh yeah, why not?
Sure.
It's the dice we use in the show are actually connected by a little string, little piece of fish line or whatever, which someone from the cast had suggested to our props builders. They
dice
had done it
together.
in a previous production of Guys and Dolls. To keep the dice together so that they don't go all over the stage, which. Until you got in rehearsal, it was like, oh yeah, that's going to happen. That's going to happen. So let's guard against it. But even so, then that little wire gets wrapped around your fingers, and as you're pulling it out of your pockets or something, it's
Or
so
one
it's,
dice falls while you're
or one's at
pulling
the end
other,
while you're,
you go,
and
just
so all of a sudden from the audience, I'm sure it looks like the dice are jumping out of the.
Magnetic.
Yeah, they're magical. So they've got a mind of their own. So no matter how much practice we did, it's always going to be a live performance issue.
I tried to get the Stratford Festival to give us some money to go to the casino to play some craps.
Yeah.
To just like, but
unfortunately, that kind of
wouldn't-
research was not in their
gambling
budget.
at work is.
We were maybe going to go to Cuba too, but that didn't
that'd be
pan
sweet.
out.
Yeah. But we all want to go back to New York.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
There we go. I did go to New York. That was my
And you did
research
go
over
to
the winter.
Cuba.
Oh, and I did go to Cuba.
We've got another question.
Everyone, what was the first musical you ever starred in?
Starred
Oh,
in.
starred in. Asks Cheryl.
Greece.
No way.
Who were you?
How old were you?
Who were
I
you?
was 16. I was Danny Zuko in high school.
In high school?
Amazing.
Yeah,
Nice.
That was, yeah. I had very large hair.
Photos.
I do have photos.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's great. What musical, Alexis?
I mean, first comes to mind is Carousel here. Of, like,
Here.
starring in. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But like in high school or something like that, did you? Yeah.
I discovered like theater when I was like 16, so it was mostly just ensemble stuff because I was still learning as I
Yeah,
went.
yeah.
And they were like, "Whoa, big voice," but I didn't figure out the acting thing yet
Yeah.
or whatever. So I want to say Carousel.
Carousel.
Okay.
Or we did a musical version of Midsummer Night's Dream. I played Titania.
Nice.
It
Ah,
was fun.
Yeah.
in high school.
No, right out of college.
Yeah.
It was a gig. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. How about you?
I guess we had not a strong youth theater group in my hometown where I was growing up, and I did You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. when I was
Yeah.
in 9th grade.
And you were Charlie?
Were you
I was Charlie Brown.
You were,
Yeah.
of course, you were.
Come on.
Charlie, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you'd be so sweet.
That was fun. Yeah.
The first musical I starred in, I was understudying the narrator in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and I was about 22, and I was in Chicago, and Donny Osmond was in our show, and I was covering the narrator, and I was doing one of the wives. I was Naphtali's wife, and so our narrator was quite hoarse for the beginning of the show, and at intermission she lost her voice.
Oh my God.
So they actually threw me in Act 2 for the narrator. And at the end of Act 1, I came off with this big afro because we were singing another song in full makeup. And stage management came to me and said, "Take everything off, we're putting you on," with Donnie as the narrator. So that was my first jump into the narrator. And Donnie was so sweet, and everybody was very encouraging. And it was just wonderful. They were
so
amazing.
exciting.
So that was my first little kick at the can. It was,
Wow.
And then I got to do it. I stayed with the show for a good year, and I got to go in quite a bit. And then I got bumped up to the role, and I met them on tour, and we actually closed the show in Salt Lake City, which was Donnie and Marie's hometown. So that was pretty neat.
That's like
Yeah.
the Sutton Foster story,
Fantastic.
right? That
Yeah,
was in the
the
ensemble.
understudy.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's
It was pretty,
amazing.
I don't even remember going on for Act 2. It was just pure adrenaline.
I'm sure. That's amazing. Everyone, how do you reconcile starring in a play that is a bit dated in its ideologies about men and women? Asks Ryan.
About guys and girls.
We've had
Yeah, this is a great question.
This came up with Donna, too.
Yeah. I was thinking about that this morning, and because I was thinking about our relationships, and I thought, as much as obviously there are things that are dated or things that attitudes that have changed, since 1950 when Guys and Dolls premiered. I was like, the great thing is like, Sarah doesn't give up her job at the end. She gets married. She
For
stays
like the
a career
typical
woman.
Grease ending, he
Yeah,
joins
yeah.
my troupe.
And
Yeah.
and there's no indication really that Adelaide will give up her job until she gets pregnant.
Yeah.
If because we want to have children.
Yeah.
They changed it for the movie, of course. Sky didn't join the Salvation Army, and she's not in her Salvation Army outfit at the end.
Really,
It's a
It's a double wedding.
It's a double wedding.
That's
Right.
I think Brando didn't want to
Huh.
join the Salvation
He was
Army or something.
just a gem
So
on
it was
that one,
even,
wasn't he?
yeah, they even
That's right.
dated it even more in the
Oh,
film.
yeah.
And
But what I was going to say is that as much as you think it's dated, there are a lot of parts of, especially the women's roles, that are I don't want to say progressive necessarily, but they're not stereotypically, housewife 1950s, Leave It to Beaver kind of.
Well,
We had a big discussion
Conversation.
about that with Donna Fior, our director choreographer. She was really on top of wanting the two females leads in the show to be very independent, that they had their own jobs. They were really in love with these men. They weren't needing to grab hold of a husband. They were really in love with these men. And that's why they were willing, Adelaide is willing to stay with Nathan for so long, because there's a real connection and relationship that has been there for many years. And then there's this beautiful blossoming relationship between Skye and Sarah. But Donna said, and she didn't, I remember her saying about Adelaide, she didn't want Adelaide to be harping on Nathan to get married, that it's just this romantic thing and she's willing to wait. And I really love that take on it.
When we had long talks about Marry the Man Today, and just what everyone thinks is marry the man today and change his ways tomorrow. Like, oh my gosh, these girls are settling. Like, that's horrible. Like, they're gonna change him, and how tragic. But we had the discussion of like, no, what is the actual focus of this? Like,
Yeah. Or in Havana with when you're drinking with the drinks, that was a very.
She wanted, right from the audition, we talked about it. She said she's like, I have a 20-year-old daughter. That's the sort of Bacardi moment of what's in this drink, Bacardi, and we actually cut the line. I don't know if I should. But she's like, that's date rape. That's not cool. Like, Sarah has to make the decision to keep drinking or bust. Like, he can't just watch and be laughing and pretend that nothing's happening, because if she isn't aware, that's wrong. That is bad. So the way we staged it and sort of changed it around, he's completely distracted, and a waiter sets drinks on the table, and I just keep drinking away. And by the time he turns around and sees me, Sarah's drunk, and he's like, let's get out of here. Like, that's not cool. And then it sort of trips and falls from there. But right from the get-go, she's like, that has to be Sarah's decision, or this is dated, or that is bad. Like, that is wrong.
But it is a period piece, and we really wanted to honor that. So,
But from the inside, what was more remarkable to me sometimes still is how much respect each gender has for the other's role, and that doesn't mean they're the same, but I feel like all the guys in the show have a real appreciation for what women bring to their world, even if they don't necessarily want it right now, or or want that influence, but they know what it is, and that there's. I feel like there's a respect for each other's place. I don't know. That's my.
I like that.
Everyone, what's your fave song from the show? Asks Shelby.
I love watching Crapshooters ballet. I watch it from backstage every single day.
Yes.
I can't understand how they do that. And like that and Like the Lady. So those are probably my favorite songs to like watch.
Yeah. Well, I love singing Sue Me with Sean every night, as terrifying as that song is sometimes.
I don't know, why is it so terrifying? I don't know.
You're on edge with that show. Talk about Evan. I just feel like I have a very long break during Crapshooters ballet, and it's a long break for me. So you're just sort of out of the rhythm a little bit. And then I just feel like Sean and I come in. You've been in Crapshooters, but Sean and I come in, and it's this huge song to sing together. And it's a massive stage with just the two of us, with nothing on stage. So it feels very daunting some days. And then other days I just feel like we're flying and soaring through it.
Yeah.
It's a wild.
That's my favorite song of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like
It's so beautifully
it's a crossover
written.
between the old school musical, the old school book musical, to modern musicals. To me, it's the most modern song in the show. That it actually, it's the way you play it too, right? It's the way that. The sensitivity of the characters of Adelaide genuinely being worn out by her. I don't mean to speak about what you're going through, but this is what I see as an observer. That we don't usually see that in a lot of the old school book musicals, right? Where we're giving these characters deep vulnerability, and it's very moving. I find it the most moving song in the show.
The songs in the show, every now and then they will strike me. I just cannot believe how fantastic they are. Like My Time of Day, I just think is an amazing song.
Yeah.
I can't believe I can't think of another song like that, especially in a classical or classic, but like an old school book musical. It's
Donna
just got
talked
so
about
much. There's got such a life and jazziness to it that, and
It
then
comes right in before I've Never Been in Love Before. We
Yeah.
talked about that sort of like peak in the sky before he opens
Yeah.
up. He would never
Yeah.
just sing like "I love you." He needs to preface it, and it's
Yes.
so like the
Yeah.
rhythms you had to get used to at the beginning because it's moving and jarring, and that's what he's going through, right?
Yeah.
and then also just the lyrics of Adelaide's Lament
Yeah. Brilliant.
are ridiculously good.
Yeah. You hear
Who
the
puts
audience.
Streptococci in the lyric anymore?
It's true. It's such a fun ride to play with the audience on that song because you can just hear them put it all together. It's really fun. And I never want to mess it up.
Everyone, what's the most embarrassing thing that's happened to you on stage?
I love
In
this.
this
Asks
show
Amelia.
or any show?
Any show.
show.
And this show.
In this
okay.
show?
This show.
In this
The
show.
most embarrassing thing? Your nylons, maybe.
Oh.
Is that pretty
Oh my
sweet?
goodness. See, I block this stuff out of my
Yeah.
mind sometimes because it's traumatic or
It might not have been embarrassing.
it was pretty funny. So the very first
It was
preview,
funny.
I did not have my Evan Buliung, a Sky. I had his understudy on, so he did wonderfully. But there's a lot of moments of like drag him on stage or drag him a little bit this way or whatever, which is fine. But we rehearsed it right before too. When we're leaving Cuba, I throw my stockings back, not wanting to leave, but no one told Sarah that he has to grab them for me. So we walk back out on stage, and there are my stockings, center stage.
And you're back in
In New York.
Back in
City.
New York, like we
They
just left
made it
Cuba.
from Cuba.
Exactly. So I
And what
looked
did
at
you
them,
do?
And I was like, we've dropped so many props. We've dropped hymn books, hats everywhere, and Donna's always like, "That's all the audience is looking at. Like you deal with it when you see it, or you're like, you will look at it, the audience will look at it. It's stupid. Grab it." But I didn't have pockets, so. By the time I hit center stage, it was on a very appropriate line of, "Thank you for bringing me back. I must have behaved very badly," and I shoved the knives down my shirt. And Colin Fiore was like, "Can we give an extra toast to Alexis and her," I don't remember what he referred to it, like her third boob of the evening, because that's all I could think of doing. I was like, I could throw them down the vom, but like maybe they wouldn't reach, and that would be even worse. Like, so down my shirt they went.
I just remembered one that happened to me during, I think, our 6th preview. It was in Bushel and a Peck, and I have this beautiful tail feather. I'm basically a chicken. And I have this turkey feather and chicken feather, and Dana just made just beautiful showgirl tail. And I didn't realize that the harness was not completely secure. It's changed now with wardrobe. But I turn around to Nathan, who's at the chair, and I flick my tail feathers at him in just a very flirtatious way. And I think I lifted them way too high, and I completely pulled my tail feathers out of the harness, and my tail feathers dropped on the stage, and I ran away. I don't remember if I covered up my tushy from behind, but I ran up with the other girls and did my little last pose. And Donna said she was laughing hysterically, and she said it actually kind of worked because you are a burlesque dancer. But then the wardrobe went, "We can never have that happen," so there are 2 brilliant snaps that hold that on, and I'm a little more cautious with my tail feathers. But I dropped my tail feathers on deck.
I can't remember what preview it was, but as I said, there's a stretch where it's pretty active for me, and it was at the end of, no, it was during Sit Down, You're Rocking the Boat, that I have a nice little mustache that's in 2 pieces, and I just sweated it right off, and it went somewhere
I
on
remember
the
looking
stage.
at you and then doing a double take because he had
And I
these
was-
2 white glue lines.
And I was, yeah, because
on his face.
when the number was over and I realized I'd lost it somewhere turning at some point, I was like, well, and this is the rest of it's coming off. And then I just had the glue. So it was kind of like, well, I shaved for the last, but for the last part of the show.
Dancing made you go prematurely.
Yeah,
white,
I don't know.
yeah.
Little
Stuff happens all the time. We try and figure
But that
it
has
out.
also been fixed too. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
my wig person Lorna she like moved heaven and earth to try and figure out, okay,
Yeah.
we're going to glue it on this point. I will meet you at this point, and we're going to check it, and we'll meet you at this point backstage, and we're going to check it more, and we'll
Yeah.
re-glue if we need to, and
Yeah.
so it's all like, yeah.
That's the beauty of doing so many previews is that we really get to work through all the things that will possibly occur or possibly happen or, fall off or something will be left on stage or, and that's the beauty of being a part of this long process is
But
that
also-
you really get to fine tune everything so that once we open, the show is just beautiful and then our audience just gets to enjoy what we've done.
But it's also
Together.
live theater, so
Yep.
anything can
Anything
happen.
can happen. Yeah.
Do you have
You,
an
Evan?
embarrassing?
No.
Okay. He is without shame,
No.
therefore
We know
nothing
he's
embarrasses him.
embarrassing.
I do nothing embarrassing.
I fuck up lyrics. Oh, I'm not I swear. But I do. I fuck up lyrics quite a lot. That just happens.
That's
right?
part of it.
Yeah.
That's part of
Yeah,
it.
we're not machines.
And you learn.
We're
Yeah,
real
we're
people.
human.
So,
And
there you
sometimes
go.
it's show number 90. We were doing 105 guys and dolls at the
Yeah.
end of the day, so.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Everyone, what's the message or feeling that you take away from this show?
For the
That you
audience
take,
or
that you
for
take
us?
away.
Yeah, we take
Anyone? Message?
What's the message or the? I think it goes hand in hand with the previous question of, how do you sort of relate to possibly the old timiness of the piece. I like what Sean had to say too, right? There's still, like, I see so much in Adelaide and Nathan of actual couples, and I love the way they fight, but they love each other, and but they speak the same vocabulary. I think that people, the message or the feeling I take away from it is that it's possible to change. But in order for a change to happen for these characters, there has to be a reason why they are the way they are. And I think it happens at the beginning, especially with Skye and Nathan. It's like, why is this guy such an asshole in a way? Like, and what is his feelings towards women? Why does he have this? What happened? What happened to him? What's and I think there's a spiritual journey, obviously, because at the end he becomes like spiritually enlightened. So what's the feeling? I think possibly renewal, or so there's an actual huge journey for the show, and I had no idea there actually was a huge journey for Guys and Dolls.
Well, it
I just
ends
thought
on
it was
such a.
high.
It ends on sort of a psych at the end too, right? The sneeze, but then we all sort of break the fourth wall, kind of. Like it sort of just leaves you with like, well, that's how it is.
Yeah.
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 I think sort of off of that though, it's the change within the characters themselves. Like it's the idea of having to change for someone else. But I think a lot of like what Sarah goes through, it's a lot of getting over herself and her expectations to be with the person she wants to be with. It's the change that you can find within you,
Yeah.
as well as it's middle ground. It's
Yeah.
meeting
Yeah.
a person somewhere. But like the joy of playing Sarah, I think, is it's everyone finding themselves. It's
Yeah.
like Sarah going to college. Like that's sort of what she's going through, where it's distancing from what you were raised with and sort of stumbling your way very sloppily through
Yeah.
through life and new
Yeah.
discoveries and finding out who you are and what you actually want
Yeah.
instead of just your dreams or your proposed.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the play, what you guys said is fantastic, and I as Nathan don't feel like I've given anything up. I've just kind of found a new part of myself. I'm not a different person just because we've made different decisions or we've gone a different way. I always feel like something else has opened up and there are more possibilities. And,
Yeah.
but I feel like there's still the same person.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
haven't lost anything.
Yeah, I like to think that Nathan and Adelaide's journey just continues so beautifully, and that
Yeah.
they do move in together, and they have children.
That the show
they carry
you never
on,
actually get married.
and we
though.
don't get
Oh,
married. She
my
still
day.
doesn't get married.
I love that.
You know,
But again, that sort of ends with the show with like, and that's life.
Where will
like,
they be?
The
Yeah.
dots will keep going.
Exactly.
You don't
Yeah.
win the one argument and life
Yeah.
is perfect. You will keep building and growing.
I had a friend ask me, she said, "What is there like a part 2 to this show? Has it been written? I really want to know what happens to Nathan and Adelaide and Sarah and Sky." And I went, "That's a brilliant idea. Somebody should write.
Scary.
Where are they at?"
Better songwriters and
wanna see your
lyricists than I am,
Twilight
you know,
show or
exactly.
something.
But it's true.
Ooh.
People really, they really, the audience, you can feel the connection with the audience on these 4 characters. And on with everybody. They want them to win. They want them to end up together. They
Well, like
really
with Sumi.
connect with all of these individual characters. You see the women
Yes.
elbowing their husbands up.
Especially
That's
during
you up
Sumi."
there. You know, they
It's just
really.
like, remember, that was last
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
Or that
Yeah.
was too.
Yeah, it's exactly who we are as human beings, whether we're in this, you know, relationship that's been going on for years and years, or a beautiful new relationship. It's who we are as humans and that connection.
So it looks like we're about to wrap up our time with you. Thank you so much for joining us. We have
Louise
one more
Wilson,
comment,
yeah.
Louise, which isn't a question, but it's a fantastic comment. Everyone, you're amazing. I've seen the show 7 times and it keeps getting better.
Yay,
Which is
Louise!
fantastic. Thank you so much, Louise. It's
Amazing.
nice to, you know, when you have a long run like this and you get to just get even more comfortable with it, it's a joy to kind of see how the show grows and we all become, you know, we find new things and we keep it alive and fresh, and and a show like this, there's so much to discover, you know. So thank you very much. I'm glad that comes through after your 7th viewing. So. Thank you for joining us.
Yes,
I'm sure
thank
there'll be
you.
more of these in the future, so tune in to the Stratford Festival Facebook Live.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.
So let's keep the party polite. Never get out of my sight. Stick with me, baby. I'm the fella you came in with. Luck be a lady. Luck be a lady.